The galaxy had watched humanity for 300 years. They observed the small blue planet with its fragile creatures. They saw the slow ships that crawled between stars. They noticed the simple weapons and the primitive technology. The Galactic Council of 12 Species had classified Earth as a Level 2 civilization. This meant humans were considered harmless. They were like children playing in a sandbox while adults conducted real business across the cosmos. Ambassador Kethrel of the Zorvani Empire stood before the council chamber. His scaled skin shimmered under the artificial lights. He spoke with confidence that came from leading the most powerful fleet in known space. "The humans have requested membership in the council," he announced. "I suggest we deny them. They offer nothing. Their military is weak. Their technology is centuries behind ours. They would be a burden." Murmurs of agreement filled the massive chamber. Representatives from a dozen worlds nodded their heads or clicked their mandibles in approval. The Zorvani had conquered 30 star systems. They had crushed rebellions and destroyed entire civilizations. No one challenged their authority. Only one voice spoke against the decision. Elder Morrow, the human representative, stood calmly in the center of the chamber. He was old by human standards, with white hair and weathered skin. But his eyes held something the aliens could not understand. There was no fear in them. "We accept your decision," Morrow said simply. "But remember this moment. Remember what you chose." The council dismissed his words as the meaningless protest of a primitive species. They laughed as the human delegation departed. The Zorvani ambassador made a cruel joke about humanity's small ships and weaker bodies. Everyone found it amusing. 3 months later, the darkening began. It started at the edge of Zorvani space. A massive fleet of unknown origin appeared without warning. These ships were black as the void itself. They consumed light rather than reflecting it. Their weapons turned entire planets to ash in seconds. The Zorvani sent their greatest armada to meet this threat. 50,000 warships carrying the finest warriors in the galaxy. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, not a single Zorvani vessel remained. The Black Fleet continued forward without pause. They showed no interest in communication. They offered no terms of surrender. They simply destroyed everything in their path. The Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. Fear filled the chamber now. The arrogance of previous meetings had vanished. Species that had mocked each other for millennia suddenly sought alliance. But their combined forces could not match what the darkening had already consumed. "We must contact the humans," suggested the Malari delegate, a being of pure crystalline energy. "They have not been attacked. Perhaps they know something." Ambassador Kethrel hissed with contempt. "The humans? What could they possibly offer? They cannot even travel faster than light without our technology. They are useless, but desperation makes strange allies." The council sent a message to Earth requesting assistance. They expected nothing. They received something that changed everything. Elder Morrow appeared on their screens. He looked the same as before, calm, patient, almost amused. "We wondered how long it would take you to ask," he said. "We've been waiting for this moment for 300 years. The council members exchanged confused glances. What could the old human mean? "Our ancestors discovered something," Morrow continued. "When we first reached beyond our solar system, we found the remains of an ancient civilization. They had been destroyed by the same force you now face. The darkening has swept through this galaxy before. It returns every 50,000 years to cleanse all intelligent life." Horror spread across the council chamber. But Morrow was not finished. "We learned from the ancients. We studied their technology. We understood what was coming, and we prepared. For 3 centuries, we have hidden our true capabilities. We built in secret. We trained in silence. We waited for the moment when we would be needed." The transmission changed. Instead of the old man's face, the council saw something that made their hearts stop. Ships emerged from behind Earth's moon. But these were not the primitive vessels the galaxy had observed for centuries. These ships were massive beyond comprehension. Their hulls were made of materials that should not exist. Their weapons hummed with energy that registered on no known scale. 10,000 ships, each one larger than anything the Council had ever built. Each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a star. "You called us primitive," Morrow's voice continued. "You laughed at our small fleet and our slow travel. But those ships were a mask, a disguise. We showed you only what we wanted you to see. The truth is something very different." Ambassador Kethrol could not speak. His scales had gone pale with shock. The other delegates were equally silent. Why? The Malari finally managed to ask. "Why hide this from us?" "Because we watched you," Morrow replied. "We saw how the powerful treated the weak. We saw civilizations crushed for resources. We saw species enslaved for labor. If you had known our true strength, you would have feared us. You would have attacked before we were ready. So we played the role of harmless primitives while building the force that would save this galaxy." The human fleet moved. They traveled faster than anything the Council had ever witnessed. In hours, they crossed distances that should have taken weeks. They met the darkening at the edge of destroyed Zervani space. What followed was broadcast to every world in the galaxy. The black ships of the darkening had seemed invincible. They had crushed the mightiest fleets without effort. But against the human armada, they faltered. Human weapons pierced their dark hulls. Human shields absorbed attacks that had vaporized entire planets. Human soldiers boarded enemy vessels and fought hand-to-hand against creatures of living shadow. The battle raged for 7 days. Billions of beings across the galaxy watched in stunned silence. They had thought humans were weak because their bodies were soft. They had assumed humans were inferior because they aged and died. But now they saw the truth. Humans were relentless. When one ship fell, 3 more took its place. When soldiers died, others stepped forward without hesitation. They fought with a fury that no other species could match. They did not surrender. They did not retreat. They simply kept coming until the enemy was destroyed. On the 7th day, the last darkening vessel was torn apart. Its screaming destruction echoed across every communication channel in the galaxy. Then, there was silence. Elder Morrow appeared once more before the Council. Behind him stood human admirals and generals, their uniforms covered in the marks of battle. They did not look tired. They looked hungry for more. "The darkening is finished," Morrow announced. "They will not return in our lifetimes. We have ensured this." The Council delegates did not know how to respond. The species they had dismissed as primitive had just saved every living being in the galaxy. The civilization they had refused to accept had power beyond imagination. "What do you want from us?" Ambassador Kethrol asked. His voice was small now, humble. Morrow smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but it carried weight. "We want what we asked for before. Membership in the Council, but now we also want something more. We want change. No more conquests, no more slavery, no more crushing the weak for profit. You will learn to live as equals, or you will face us again. And next time, we will not be so gentle." The Council agreed immediately. They had no choice. The galaxy had witnessed human power, and none dared challenge it. In the years that followed, humanity took its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Their hidden fleet patrolled the borders of known space, watching for threats. Their scientists shared knowledge that advanced every species. Their diplomats settled disputes that had lasted for millennia. But the other civilizations never forgot what they had seen. They never forgot the moment when the mask fell and humanity's true face was revealed. Around dinner tables and in government chambers, the story was told again and again. The primitive species that had hidden world-ending power. The soft creatures that had defeated an enemy no one else could scratch. The seemingly weak people who had been the strongest all along. Children across the galaxy grew up hearing the tale. They learned that appearances could deceive. They learned that the quiet ones were often the most dangerous. And they learned to never, ever underestimate humanity. Elder Morrow lived to see the new peace take hold. On his final day, he sat in a garden on Earth, looking up at stars that now welcomed human travelers. A young officer asked him the question everyone wanted answered. "Were you ever afraid they would discover our secret before we were ready?" The old man laughed softly. "Every day," he admitted, "but we had no choice. The darkening was coming. Someone had to prepare. Someone had to hide in plain sight while building the tools to save everyone. We chose to be that someone. We chose to appear weak while growing strong. We chose to endure their mockery while forging the weapons of salvation." He looked at the stars one last time. "History will remember this as the moment humanity revealed itself. But I want future generations to remember something else. We did not save the galaxy to rule it. We saved it because it was the right thing to do. Power without purpose is just destruction. We found our purpose. That made all the difference." The officer nodded and left the old man to his thoughts. Across the void, civilizations that had once laughed at humanity now spoke of them with respect. Some spoke with fear, but all spoke with the understanding that the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had emerged from hiding, and everything had changed.